Okay, this session I'm going to show you how to invert the motors and the blade so you can able to fly the fuselage like the body of a car or any other fuselage. So inverting the motors is real simple. First thing you need to do is make sure that all the red and the yellow, you have all four of them on each corner reversed. Okay, so you pull the red out. Now when you pull it out, make sure you be careful when you pull it out because that's connected with the soldering. So slowly pull out the connectors and then the yellow connectors. So just pull this two out and then you just invert it. So the yellow go to the red connector inside and then the red wire is going back to the yellow converter. So you do all four of them. Okay, so you invert all four of them, changing all four colors. That's the first thing to do. The second thing to do is the motors. Now you want to flip this motor upside down. So by releasing the motor, so you need to just use a Allen wrench to unlock the screws. So you need to unlock both screws for each arms. Motors. And make sure when you tighten the screw back to the rods, make sure you don't tighten it too tight. You don't want to crush the carbon fiber with the screw sets. So once you take out the two screws, so the motor will be dangling. Now be very careful because the motor are connected with solder inside. So if you don't pay attention to this, the wire might come loose. So now this is the original positions. So now we want to invert the motors. So you want to flip this upside down. Flip them upside down, just like this. So now the motors are inverted. So once you invert, you put this back in there, and then you put the screw back in there. Be very, very careful when you put the screw back in there. So what you need to do is put the screw in here first, and then put the screw inside this rod. There's a hole. Now you can see right through the hole. The wire, there are two wires on one side, and there's one wire on the other side. Make sure when you stick the screw in there, you don't touch the wires. Make sure you can have clear image of the hole. You can see through the holes, and then you put this screw in there slowly. Now the screw goes in without touching the wire. That's one way to see the wire. The second way is to see the wires through the holes in the front of the rods. So when you put the pin in there, make sure that you're not touching the wire at all. So that will allow you to change the direction of the screw sets. Now when you finish that one, and then now you do the second one. So you're pushing the second screw set into the rods. And again, when you push the screw set in there, make sure that you're not touching the wires on the screw, so you don't strip the wires accidentally. It's going to be a little tedious, but this is one way to do it, is to make sure that you're safe and not destroying the wires. So once you push it in there, all you need to do is at the other end of the screw, you just need to push it over. So once you push it over, you make sure that there's nothing coming out like wires, no red color of the plastic or no black wires, plastic coming out. So that means you're clear of those two wires. So now you wanted to do is just mount this motor back into the two screw joint, holding steady, and now just screws it in. And you do. This is the only one I'm gonna show you, but you gotta do all three other ones too, the other arms So you do the same way as I'm doing this one to show you the examples. So tighten it, but not too tight, because if you do too tight, you gotta flatten the carbon fiber rods inside in between. So the rod actually the carbon fiber are sandwiched in between the metals. So that's how you inverted the motors. Now one more thing you need to do before you finish is the blade. So the blade are also in inverted position too. So basically you need to remove the cap out of the blade. So once the cap is removed, then you want to flip this blade upside down. Flip it upside down. And then now you tighten it. Of course, always put Loctite glue onto those metals, because you are using metal against metal. So you can get the Loctite glue or the thread lock glue from Home Depot or Walmart. So tighten it, not too tight, just tighten it to the point that it's not gonna loose. If you do too tight, it's gonna crack on the blade, in between the blades. Now, make sure now the orientation is still the same. This is your front, this is your back. So your orientation is very important when you also mount the blade. Now look at the blade size. Again, on the left corner it's always counter. On the right corner of the front corner it's always counter rotations. Always remember, left counter rotation, the right, the left is clockwise. The right side is counter rotation. Okay, so when you mount this blade onto it, look at the orientation. So the orientation of this is going this way, because this is the upper position. So this is going counter. So this should be on the right side. But because the right side, I haven't flipped the motors, so you cannot mount this on it yet. So I'm just showing you how to mount this as an example. So just mount like this, and then you are done on this side. So that's how you invert the motors. So there are 3 things you need to do in summary. First, you need to reverse the yellow to this is the original, red to yellow, so you switch it around. So once you finish, you should have all 4 yellow on the first one of the corners. So that's the first thing you need to do, is reversing the motor wires. Number 2 is reversing upside down the motors. So just take out the 2 screws and then flip the motor upside down and then remount the motors. And number 3 is the blade. So make sure the blade inverted too. Just removing the blade. Okay, that's finishing.